And I think it is. Okay, I think I am live. Okay, good morning guys. Had a little bit of technical difficulties there, but I think everything's working now. And just double check. There's a little bit of delay, a bit of lagging on the live stream, so I'm not really sure if it's working or not, but I think the audio stream connection good. And the video stream connection is good. Okay, so there we are. It's just coming up to 11 AM here in the UK, and it's the 21st of January 2022. So first of all, good morning. I just wanted to do a TA update a little bit early today to see if we catch the moves for the New York session opening. Of course, the downside from that is that it might mean that by the end of today, this technical analysis update might be outdated, but basically what you can see here is a heat map screener, and you can see that everything is down, okay, in the crypto markets, with very few exceptions. I mean, stable coins are on, and there's a few little projects that are kind of like positive, like Perp USD there by 2%, but you know, very little escaped the onslaught of last night. And the onslaught basically is just Bitcoin just breaking out of a balance area, of an imbalance area, and finally showing its hand to where it's heading. That's the cryptocurrency. You can also look at the stock market, and you can just see that the great majority of stocks, everything is dumping as well. So this is not just a crypto phenomena. This is actually a global phenomena. Okay, this is happening everywhere, and even the FANG stocks and everything's down, with again very few exceptions. There's various reasons for this. I highlighted this on the TA update for you guys on I think it was on Wednesday. You know, geopolitical events, the hike of the interest rates by the Federal Reserve, and the tapering off of basically the stopping printing money. I think those are all factors. You know, the threats of the United States with NATO and against Russia, and all of this kind of all this crap is just kind of contributing to a bit of uncertainty and a bit of a squeeze in the markets and a lack of confidence. So as a result of that, we're seeing all of this. So if you remember last week, on Wednesday, I showed you this chart, and I made a point of showing that every time, this is the oldest chart in existence for Bitcoin, I believe. This is the Bitstamp chart, and it's the weekly chart as well. And I've got simply two moving averages here. And if you don't know what they are, go and have a look at the stream from last week, and you'll be able to tell. But I've got two moving averages on the weekly chart, and basically every time we lose one of them, we come and test the second one. And this has happened since way back in 2014. Okay, so this endured the 2015 bear market, and also the 2017, 18, 19 bear markets. Okay, also in the COVID crash, you could see here March 2020, when we've lost that moving average, we also came and tested the one below, and then even though we've gotten above and we've stayed above and it's been respected a couple of times, we broke below it just round about the end of the year, sort of like 27th of December, just after Christmas. Okay, and we haven't recouped it, we haven't recovered that moving average. In fact, we haven't even back tested it like we'd done here, for instance. Okay, or even here. So that's very telling. That shows a lot of weakness in the market. It's unsurprising, really. I mean, like I said to you guys, don't shoot the messenger, but this is what I was seeing. and since this has happened so many times, it kind of rhymes with the past, and it makes sense that if it does come down, it comes all the way down to around about 19,666, which also happens to have confluence with previous resistance of all-time highs of 2017. So just bear that in mind. This could be where we go to. Okay, of course, this is looking at the weekly chart. It's a very macro view. So it also depends on what the stock market and the appetite for risk in Wall Street is doing. So at the moment, obviously, risk is off for the majority of the markets, and that's reflective right here on Bitcoin, which is still regarded as a risky asset. So essentially what we're looking at here, for example, let me just take these moving averages off and do a little comparison here with Bitcoin. So we've got here the we got the Nasdaq here, and I've just got it on the 30-minute chart, and you can see the blue line here is the Nasdaq E-mini futures, and then you've also got Bitcoin here in orange, and you can see very much the price just there's a huge correlation, especially on the smaller time frames, okay, the shorter time frames. You can see, you've probably seen this everywhere else because everybody's realized that this is happening, but you see the huge correlation, and this is basically just putting the narrative in line with the fact that Bitcoin is a risky asset, just as risky as every other instrument on the financial industry, in the markets, and so it's following suit. Okay, this is also visible on the S&P, and if you look at the S&P, I mean, come on, it's like, it's irrefutable. And like I said, I'd already posted a couple of posts in the trading group explaining this, and that it would be silly to ignore this. Well before, I think it was on the 17th, I think I posted that, well before this dump. So you guys had plenty of warning to keep an eye on this thing. But anyway, for you guys that are new and just arrived, yeah, welcome to cheap prices. Okay, so I think that this, where does this lead? Well, of course, we've got geopolitical events. We've got the COVID thing. We've got so much in stake right now. I do believe that Bitcoin is still a risky asset, and I think so does the market. So as long as the traditional finance continues to have the approach of risk off, then I don't think Bitcoin's going to pump. I mean, it's super visible where there's no bids coming in. Okay, so everything is just been really kind of stagnant. Okay, we pump a little bit, dump a lot, and that's basically the story that's been happening. So anyway, I'll stop waffling. I just wanted to show you that just so that we all have a macro view. Okay, I hope that you guys are all right. I hope nobody got liquidated and or caught off guard with this nasty move down. But let's recap it again a little bit. So I'm going to go here with the tools, and we've got the yearly profile, and let's go here on the 4-hour chart, or even the daily chart, and let's start from the beginning. Okay, so you can see what I've done here is I've put a volume profile right from the beginning of last year, okay, from 1st of January 2021, so it's about a year old. And you can see that we were in this kind of zone here, and this zone is basically a low volume area. And I've explained this time and time again in the last TA update, so if you guys been here a while, you know what I've been saying. And we've been trying to see if we could find acceptance either on this volume cluster here or on this one. And now it looks like we're finding finally acceptance within this one. Okay, so from previous experience, I know that usually what happens is that we go and test both sides of the balance when we enter it, okay? So I expect the price, just like I said to you guys on Wednesday, to come as low as 30,000 to start with, okay? Of course, it's not just going to come down to 30,000. I mean, it can do. You can do like a candle like this, but it could also just have a little slow grind where it goes up and it goes down, it goes up and goes down. And you've got plenty of low volume nodes and high volume nodes here that could sort of get in the way there. So you've got... you can use other tools of confluence just to see where those are, okay? I like putting these lines, and basically these lines that I've got here are really just determining where these high volume clusters are, okay? Which means that I don't have to have that drawing there. Now I've got a little simple horizontal line support resistance type of thing that I can identify where these are. And of course you could also put that as volume zones, and again I can confirm this so that you can see. So the middle one is, this is the middle distribution, this is the higher distribution, and this is the lower distribution of volume. Okay, so basically it just makes it easier to see where we are. Okay, and it's very clear that we've just kind of found acceptance now. You've got at least a daily, you know, where we've closed a daily and inside it, and this is a 4-hour candle inside it already. Okay, so if you guys paid attention to the last technical analysis update that I did for you, we were kind of still balancing here, and we did rally here, but just I think it was just yesterday actually. But again, we couldn't find that acceptance on this volume profile here, on this balance area, if you like. Okay, on 2 occasions. In fact, we were hovering here at resistance, which was very bullish. We came back down. We came back with hardly any volume at all. We came back here, tested this distribution, and we couldn't just find acceptance there. So obviously very quickly it traveled through this balance area and it found acceptance below here. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, on Wednesday I did sum up how you would spot what does acceptance look like. Okay, so this to me is rejection, a nice big quick wick, and then rejection out of this volume distribution. Okay, and you can see here on various occasions that it enters, but it gets out very, very quickly. Okay, an hour candle at the very most. Here you can see that actually we came down, we closed an hour candle inside of the volume of the balance area, and then this hour candle tried to get out again, and this is exactly what I'd said to you guys on Wednesday. If you don't believe me, go and look back at the previous TA update from Wednesday, and you'll be able to see that this is exactly what I said, well, exactly what I meant. Let me just take the magnet off. When basically we find acceptance below, and the way that we can define that acceptance is if we come and test the area of low volume again, and it gets rejected there. Okay, so that's the entry for a short. Okay, so this is basically this here is basically what I'm talking about. I'm sorry, I'm going to make that a little bit clearer. Put down the 30-minute, make it a little bit bigger, and there we are. So we gain acceptance inside it, we close an hour candle, so 2 30-minute candles there. Okay, and then the price rallies up to that level, which is basically the edge of the high volume cluster, and we get rejected there. Okay, so that's the entry for the short, and then the rest is history. Okay, so now you might be thinking, okay, is it too late to short? Well, yes, it is. You know, it's the best time to short was last night, obviously, when we dumped. But you know, it's not to say that we're not going to go much lower. In fact, I do believe that we're going to go much lower, and I'll show you why in a minute. But there we are. Okay, so I don't know now if you've got the strength to come and retest this. We'll have to watch the levels now and just see what pans out. Okay, but we did leave some order blocks behind here, so you can see one there around about 39,800, and we've left another one here around about 40,700, something like that. Okay, so the price could effectively still do, you know, come and test the lows, still rally up here, and then come back and test lower, and then rally up here, and then lower. You know, it can carry on doing what it's been doing for so long, which is lower highs and lower lows. All right, essentially what it's been doing here: lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, and so on. Okay, so this is quite possible. I don't think it's going to go straight to the other side, but the reason I believe that it will go to the other side, regardless if it's slow or quick, is because we've just entered a new balance area, and when we enter a new balance area, the way that we firm up balance is by testing both sides. There's only a few things that get in the way of that, and if you've been listening and paying attention, you already know what those are. So I don't want to give too much away because I'm making these videos public now. If you want to learn more, you'll have to join the FODL Discord. There's a link in the description, and you guys can join that, and you can learn more about how I trade and how I use volume for trading. But essentially, I do expect the price to come all the way down to 30,000 to start with, and potentially then to that moving average that I showed you at the very beginning, which was, where was it? Which was around about here. Right about here at around about $20,000, 19,666 as it says there. Okay, so for now, I do believe that we go a little bit lower. We go down to about 30,000. I'm looking for shorts. I'm looking for positions. So I'm looking for a little pump. So anything that goes up to this level here, around about $41,000, I'd be interested in entering a short there, even if we go all the way to 43,000. Okay. So essentially, what I'm seeing now. In fact, let me just do this on the daily chart. It's probably be a little bit better. Essentially, what I'm seeing now is I'd like to see the price come and retest here, okay, and reconfirm this as balance. It was sneaky because it did that in a very short period of time and it dumped straight away, okay, but it is possible that we come and retest that. All right, when we get to these levels, we have to watch what's happening. Okay, we have to watch this area and see if there's a rejection. If there's a rejection, then that's definitely the area for a short, and that's where I'll be going short. Okay, I'm not telling you what to do with your money. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This is for educational and entertainment purposes only, and nothing in the market is absolute. I'm not always right 100% of the time. You know, here I was completely wrong. I saw the price here fell out of balance. It was very slow grind to the downside, and I thought, okay, we're really at the lows here, and then it rallied. Okay, but it doesn't matter. You know, I had a position in I think I was stopped out here actually with leverage, but I had a position in spot, so it was okay. I'm happy to holding the bag and being wrong and still making money. But you know, so this could be the typical case here, right? But the same thing. But what I do think is that there is more likely is that we come up to this line here. This is the low volume area, okay, so the imbalance area, and then we dump from there. Okay, there's a point of control here, a high volume cluster, high volume node within that cluster, and then this will be the ultimate target. Okay, for me it's round. This is highlighting about 31,400 for the Bybit perpetual contract. Okay, so you'll have to look at your chart and just see where these balance areas are, but that's essentially it. The bullish case scenario, okay, so the bullish case scenario means that we come all the way up here and then we start hovering here at resistance and we do not fall back within this balance, and in fact we rally straight up and we find acceptance here. Okay, so for me, this is what I would like to see in order to be bullish. I'd like it to print a higher high here, and I'd like it to confirm acceptance within this higher volume cluster here, okay, which is somewhere between 43,000 and 52,800. Let's say 43 and 53, just to make things simple. Okay, so again, I'd like to see the price travel very quickly through this imbalance area, find acceptance above $43,000, and then start curling up and using this whole area here as support. Okay, that's the bullish case scenario, and if that's the case, again, the same theory applies. We've entered a new balance area, and it's quite likely that we go and test both sides of it. Okay, and we come all the way to 53,000. That is essentially the play that I've been waiting for, or that I've been trying to grab the whole of the last 3 weeks or so. Okay, I've been trying to see if I thought at first was here, if we could re-enter. So I entered here, and I went all in spot as well, and I wanted to see if the price could gain acceptance here, and then we would go up to the upside. It didn't do so. It rolled back over and came back down, and then also here we came back up, and I thought, okay, and even here, I think it was actually here when I saw all this hovering at resistance, I thought, okay, we got a very good chance that we're going to break this to the upside. Of course it didn't. Okay, so this rejection is very telling, and it does look like we've found acceptance down here, not up here. But again, we can change our minds if we see something like this. Okay, so if this happens here, a breaking market structure like a higher high, and then come back and test this as support, this is very bullish, and I'll be entering along and targeting these levels up here, 53,000. I hope that is clear. I've given you a bullish case scenario and a bearish case scenario. Right now, I'm bearish. Even just 2 days ago, I was bullish just because we were at the bottom of a range, right? So you buy at the lows and you sell at the highs. But right now, we've just entered the highs of a range, okay? And I do believe that it's time to sell here. So the opportunity will present itself if we rally here and go back down again. I'm not just going to FOMO here, because 9 times out of 10 what happens when you FOMO here in a short is that it turns on you. So I'd rather go on a little pump when everybody's losing their mind thinking we're going to go back to 100k, and I'll take my chances over here at the top. I hope that is clear. In terms of Exocharts, you can see here that it's you know, very much out of balance now. So this was a balanced area here. We're very much out of balance now. We've fallen out behind it. So I'm just going to pull the desktop actually, because it's a little bit more complete. Okay, so you can see again the balance areas that I'm talking about here in volume. Okay, so you've got one distribution here, one distribution here, and one distribution down here. You can see that the price had been trying here, this profile all the way up here, trying to break above the value area low of this 12-month composite volume profile. It couldn't do so, and so it broke below it. Okay, this was an imbalance area, low volume node, and now here we are below it, and we have entered this cluster here. So this now is resistance, just as it acted as support before, the low volume node. Now it should act as resistance, and so we have to take that into consideration. Okay, so around about 43,000, but it could also be here 40,000, 41,000. Okay, we just have to bear that in mind, because it might not even get to 43,000. Okay, it might just get to about here, 41k, and then just roll over and come down below. Targets for the downside, obviously the edge of this volume cluster, and that's sitting again at around about $31,000, which also has confluence with a naked point of control that I've got here, and a naked value area around about those levels between 30k and 32k. I hope that is clear. In the very unlikely scenario that we pump and we actually break above this, and this was just a huge deviation and we're going to the upside, then we've still got 53k here as a low volume area. So I'm not even going to look at these naked points of control above us until we can actually firm up balance within this cluster here between 43 and 53. If we can get past 47, I'd be very impressed. Okay, if this was a deviation and we pump and we get past this kind of $45,000 and actually get to 47, which is in the middle of this high volume cluster, then I'll be impressed. Okay, and I will confirm that this was a deviation. But for now, I have to go with the lower lows and the lower highs, and just it is telling me that it's bearish. So I am bearish. Okay, that's official now. Baz is bearish. So I think that is it for market profile here on Bitcoin. I mean, I can have a look at the shorter time frames here for the session profile and see if there's any indication. Yeah, the CVD here is looking nice and flat. Okay, so there's not much interest in people. There's no aggressive buyers here, and yet the price seems to be going up with very little aggressiveness. So it is possible that we print a little deviation now. I do apologize for the sound. The bin people just decided to come at the wrong time. So yes, it is possible that now we see a little pump here to the upside. Maybe take out these single prints. Maybe test here 41k. Take this naked point of control here at 41,400 and just see what happens there. Okay, I don't have much hope that this is going to break straight above it, but you never know. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Okay, so ideally what we want to see is this breaking above 41,000 to be bullish, breaking above this red line at $41,000, and then finding acceptance above 43. If not, 41 is a level for shorting. I hope I made that myself clear there. I am leaning bearish. Okay, so anyway, Ethereum versus USD. So Ethereum versus USD, this is very interesting actually. So I posted all of these lines here, which was perhaps a little bit ambitious, but let me just Okay. Just to clean up the chart a little bit, okay? Right, so again, we've got the same concept, okay? So 3 volume distributions. I will take the volume profile away. And you can see that we've just tapped the lower distribution here, but we've not found acceptance there. So this is interesting. Okay, we found a rejection there. Okay, so just like Bitcoin did at first. All right, so you know, now we've remained in a state of imbalance. Okay, we're at $2,846. Ideally, what we want to see is the price of Ethereum come back inside of this balance area in order to kind of rotate between these lines here. Okay. That's essential. That's, you know, essentially what we want to see for the price of Ethereum to remain out of this area. However, we've tapped here so far as a rejection, but it's not a very nice rejection. It's quite a weak one. If you look at that on the 4-hour chart in greater detail, if you like, you can see that yes, we get rejected there at first. We printed a little tiny 4-hour green candle there, but we're coming back down again. So it's not showing much strength. There's not willing participants to go aggressively buying at these levels. So I do expect to see the price of Ethereum to enter this balance area. When it does, again, it might be very quick, just like it did on Bitcoin, okay? And it might be literally just something like this, very quickly come here and then start rotating down, okay? It might not go, it might go all the way to the bottom here. This area is an area of friction, around about $2,000, okay? Big round number as well. So you'll have to monitor this. Again, there are reasons why I'm highlighting these levels, but I'm not going to point them out here on the live stream because this is public. But you can learn more about that in the Discord group. So essentially what we want to see for if you're a bear and if you want to short Ethereum is the price to get acceptance within this brown box here, below $2,800. And if it gets acceptance here, so i.e. closing a 4-hour or a daily candle below, you want to see that confirmation where the price turns back up again to see if we can get back here, and it can't, okay, and it finds resistance at the edge. If it finds resistance there, that's your entry signal for short, and that's where you should go, okay? Again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not telling you what to do with the money. This is what I do. This is how I do it. And again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just trying to educate you and give you a little bit of an insight of how I do things, okay? So that's Ethereum USD. Of course, that's the bearish case scenario, okay? So that would put Ethereum actually at the bottom of this range. I don't think I highlighted that. It's around about $1,550, $1,600, something like that. And the top of the range is around about $2,800, okay? So, of course, you got to bear in mind that the price can actually come in and then get straight out. So that's bullish, and I wouldn't be fading that. But again, you see how the price, even when it comes in, if it is to find acceptance to go higher, it will start rotating here, okay? So it needs to go do something like this and then start rotating here and find that acceptance and confirm this as support. That's what I would like to see if the price is to be bullish. If not, it'll probably just do something like this, find the rejection and come back down again. So you'll just have to observe the price at these key areas, okay? That's how it works. So yeah, $1,600 is the bottom of this range. $2,000 is mid-range and an important key level because it's a big round number and for other reasons as well. And of course the top of the range is $2,800, which is the level that we're monitoring for acceptance or rejection. So that's Ethereum versus USD. Ethereum versus BTC. We're still very much rotating inside of this big volume cluster here. You can see here there's a low volume node in context. I'm going to put a little line there, horizontal line where this is here, right on the edge of that. So basically where the high volume node meets the low volume node, and you can see that the price pretty much kind of front run that. In fact, it kind of somewhere in between this low volume node here and this one in comparison, in the ledge here, in this sort of like general area. That's exactly where the price bounced, okay, versus Bitcoin. That's around about 72,000 sats, 72,400, something like that. I don't know how Ethereum is going to behave. Of course, versus USD, it looks a little bit better than Bitcoin because we didn't get acceptance inside of that volume range just yet. But of course, it can get outperformed by Bitcoin very, very quickly. So you just have to keep that in mind. For the time being, it does look like it hasn't reclaimed any autonomy or decoupling from Bitcoin at all. Okay, it's still being outperformed by Bitcoin. Lower highs, lower lows. All right, so there's nothing. It hasn't changed market structure. Nothing broke market structure in order to determine if this is going to turn around or not. The early sign of that is that we print a higher high, or sorry, a higher low, and then a higher high, and we do not break the previous high, and we confirm that one. Sorry, we confirm that one like that. Okay, so come up. Even if we fall short of that and print a lower high, it doesn't matter as long as we print a higher low, and then we could print a higher high. Okay, this for me is my signal, but of course I'm not going to enter at the top. I will wait for wait for confirmation, wait to come back for the previous resistance, which is now hopefully turned into support, and this would be my entry here, and then I would wait for the price to go up. This is a change in market structure that I would like to see if Ethereum BTC is if Ethereum is starting to outperform Bitcoin. For the time being, we have no evidence of that, so we just carry on as normal with Ethereum being weaker than Bitcoin in this context. Okay, so I hope that helps. Again, the lower volume of the lower edge of this volume cluster is around about 65,000 sats. The point of control is around about 71,000 sats, and the top of the cluster is around about 79,000 sats. Okay, so that's Ethereum versus BTC. Let's have a look at FODL versus no, not on OkEx. I hope I'm not doing anything wrong by not charting it on OkEx, but I think it's very difficult to chart on OkEx when you've got all of this big sort of illiquid candles like this, these big moves, basically either fat fingers or you know, like largely a liquid market here, an efficient market, or perhaps pump and dump groups pumping this and then dumping it straight back up. But you know, again, lower highs, lower lows versus USDT or versus USD on OkEx. If we look at sushiswap here, this is FODL versus USDC. Unsurprisingly, of course, the price is taking a little bit of a battering, and we went from 24, 25 cents, 26 cents I think it was last week on the 16th of January, and right now is at 23 cents. In context, just to put things in perspective, that's about a 10% drop from last week. Okay, I think we've seen a much bigger drop on Bitcoin. Don't quote me on this, but it doesn't seem a significant dumping from 24 cents to 22 cents, dropping 2 cents in price when everything's been going down so much with Bitcoin and Ethereum. So anyway, that's just my opinion again. So this level of support didn't really do much in terms of support, so it's now resistance, and we've got a level of support that we're approaching now at the end of this low volume node, and that's sitting at around about 22 cents. Okay, 22 cents, and then we've also got another one here at 20 cents and a point of control at around about 19 cents. So that's FODL versus USD. Let's have a quick look at FODL versus wrapped ETH. So FODL versus ETH. These levels of support are still being respected, very much so. I painted a few scenarios here with my silly lines, with my squiggly lines, as you can see. I gave you an idea of a range down here, a range up there, and also a range just sideways. Okay, so the idea is that this can actually just range between this first resistance and first support and just go sideways, or if we until it breaks to either side, and when we break to either side, it doesn't matter if it's to the upside or to the downside, I would expect these next levels to hold as well, and we would perhaps start ranging either up here or down here. Okay, so it really depends. We could also just go sideways. So all I can do really is just to give you an idea of where these levels are so that you can decide for yourself. But if I had to perhaps choose a direction, I would say that FODL is looking strong compared to Ethereum and Bitcoin. or at least versus Ethereum, because this is FODL versus wrapped ETH. Okay, so even though there was a dramatic change in price for ETH, FODL's holding quite well against it. As you can see here, we're still very much in the middle of this range. No trade zone for me, but you know, we tried to go to the upside and then we kind of got pushed back down to the middle, but there's no major rejections, there's no massive dumping going on, so this is very interesting. And also, let's have a look at the volume here. Volume, I must have gotten rid of it. Okay, not to bother, it's fine. In fact, I can just do that a little bit quickly. Net volume. Here we go. More accumulation. So you see what I've done there. This is the daily chart, and I'm just looking at the previous sort of like few weeks here, and you can see the price comes low. Every time it comes low and tests these lows, there's big spikes in volume going up. Okay, so this is interesting. Okay, so it might be, you know, it might be something that you guys want to keep in mind in terms of accumulation, or perhaps is one of the strategies to do with liquidity mining and staking and with the FODL exchange, with the native token. So I don't know. To me, this looks like accumulation. If I'm being completely candid, this looks like accumulation to me. And yeah, they're doing it quietly and in the sidelines. So anyway, AAVE versus USD. And let's have a look at the chart. Okay, so we were unable to break above this low volume cluster here, so I'm just going to delete this here. We were way up here somewhere on the 19th. In fact, I can see from, yeah, I think we were up here somewhere. We didn't even test that point of control here for resistance. We came and tested this high volume node here, but we couldn't get above this low volume cluster. Essentially, that's where the resistance is. Okay, so in fact, we could, I put a rectangle there as a balance area, but we could actually just change this and make this a little bit resistance there, and then change this high volume cluster here and put that as support. Okay, so essentially what we want to see, if you're bullish on AAVE, is the price break above it and get above this point of control here at $303. $300 is a big round number again, so I do doubt that in these market conditions we're going to see that. I think most of these coins are going to get dragged down, even though they've got their own mechanisms and staking mechanisms and everything else. You know, when Bitcoin goes down, it drags everything down with it. So bear with me, and this technical analysis update might be a little bit sort of ambitious and a bit flamboyant and exotic, because everybody knows that when Bitcoin goes down, everything else comes down too. So there's hardly not any, there's very little point, or take it with a pinch of salt if you like, these areas that I'm calling support and resistance. Okay, because again, if Bitcoin decides to go up, everything will get dragged up with it, and if Bitcoin goes down, it'll drag everything down with it. What we can do though is highlight some of these areas as potential areas of friction. Okay, so they're not necessarily, it's not necessarily gospel that they will hold as support or as resistance. Okay, so just do your own research and use your own tools. I'm just telling you how I look at the markets and how I see it. So anyway, we've got a level of support here around about $155, $150. Makes sense, big round number. We've got another low volume node here for the volume profile at around about $134. And we've got another one here at $93. $93 is quite a little bit low. I would expect $100 or $99 to hold as support again, because it is a big round number. Okay, so people just like to trade these. Okay, yeah, our minds are very linear. So you just have to think about it that way. So we are at $190. We've just gotten below the $200 level. Okay, so this previous level was $200, and we've just gotten below it. So it really depends on the lower time frames if we can go higher. But at the moment, in terms of market structure, as you can see, we did print a higher high and then a higher low, but we've failed to put a higher high again, and we've definitely printed a lower low. So this is a change in market structure yet again. and I do think that we go a little bit lower here on AAVE versus USD. So I think AAVE USD's got a little bit lower to go, at least to $155. AAVE versus BTC, holding up fairly well, but I think that's only because Bitcoin has not been performing that well. But it's holding up well here, you know, higher high, higher low, higher high, and we're just kind of hovering here at resistance, okay? So it seems like this level here around about 4,820, 4,800 sats is holding well as support. So we'll have to wait and see if we just carry on rotating, just like I drew here. If we can carry on rotating and then start coiling up and getting closer and closer to resistance, that for me indicates bullishness and strength in price, especially if Bitcoin starts showing weakness. This will be seen here, and that means that AAVE's got a very strong chance to break above this 6,000 sat level. Okay, if it does, then it's very likely to start rotating within this balance area, this yellow rectangle here, and it would look something like this. Come inside, come back and retest this area here. I just had a little message from YouTube saying no data, so just bear with me a second. I'm not sure what's going on. Okay, I think we're back to normal again. Sorry, I just had a little glitch there with my internet, so I don't know how long that was on for. So I'm just going to recap here. This is bullish. I'd like to see AAVE versus BTC continue to hold this level of support at around about 4,800 sats and hovering at resistance, okay? If we do hover at resistance and we do not get rejected very violently from this area, then I think eventually we will break it to the upside, and then we have to confirm this level here as support, okay? This is an imbalance area, an area of low volume in between two balance areas, okay? So if that is the case and we will break above it, then this needs to be confirmed as support, and if it does so, then it's likely that we rotate inside of that area there, okay? The obvious invalidation of that is if we actually start printing lower lows here, and if we go lower, then obviously even if we test the highs, that's going to be a lower high, and so on, and we're going to come all the way down to test this side of balance, okay? But so far it looks promising. We are looking to the upside because it is hovering just there, so we just have to go with what the chart says, okay? So just monitor this, and as long as we stay above here, then it's a good sign. If you see a break in market structure, then it's perhaps time to get out and see AAVE being outperformed by Bitcoin. Simple as that. AAVE versus ETH, very much the same story. Again, we are hovering at resistance. We're still struggling with this order block and VWAP that we have been for such a long time now. And essentially, we've got a little order block below us at round about 0.06 ETH. And if we can stay above that, then it looks promising. Of course, again, it's the same concept. If we could break above it, we will come and test that as support and then rally. If we break below this one here and print a lower low here, then even if we turn back up again, I would see this confirmed as resistance. And if so, then you look for weakness and you enter here as a short, or you just get out of your position as AAVE is going to be outperformed by ETH. Okay, so I hope that makes sense to you guys. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, just do with your money what you will. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing on the chart. So compound versus USD. If I remember correctly, this from Wednesday, it was looking very, very weak. And yeah, we entered a balance area here. As you can see here, we tried to get out of it twice. Okay, so there was two short signals there. This was the first signal for a short here. Okay, and then we had another one here. All right, and then also we lost this point of control, right? We came and tested the point of control and we got rejected there as well. So that's yet another short signal there. Okay, so basically I do expect this to carry on having a little bit of a meltdown, compound versus USD. However, there is a little low volume node here that has confluence with about $129, $120, something like that. So this area here could act as a little bit of friction here. we might find a little bit of support there. So we'll just have to wait and see. But essentially, if you're in a short, then perhaps this is just a take profit, and this carries on being the target. So just keep that in mind. Okay, we're still inside of that balance area, and if Bitcoin continues down to the downside, then I expect Compound, like every other coin, to follow suit. The question is, which one will outperform which? And in this case, we're going to go on to Compound versus BTC to see what's going on there. And yeah, breaking market structure, we can carry on lower. So we broke below this low here, and now even if we go to the upside, I do expect this level here around about 428 sats to act as resistance, and if it does so, then I would expect to see Compound still being outperformed by Bitcoin, and we are pretty much at all-time lows, so there's no telling where this would stop. I would look, as a little tip, I would look for big round numbers such as the 300 sats, 250 sats, 420 sats. I know that's a random one, but some of you will understand why. 100, 200 sats, something like that. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Compound versus BTC does look weak and doesn't look like it will be outperformed. Okay, so Compound looking weak also versus BTC, and I expect that it's looking even weaker compared to Ethereum. So a quick look. Interesting. We've only just printed what looks like a lower low, but it's very, very tight. I mean, it's very tight. Okay, so either way, I would have said that this here, this level here, just make this a little bit bigger, close that. Okay, higher high, higher low. We couldn't print a higher high, so this is a lower high, and then we came down and we printed a lower than this one here. Okay, we carried on lower, we printed lower than this one, but even when we tested the higher low, level, we couldn't even get past that resistance. And you can see that resistance was previously support here, that then turned to resistance. Okay, even though we did kind of violate it here and try to get above it twice, here it confirms it as resistance, and then it rolls over to the downside. Okay, right here it does look like we haven't broke this previous low here, but we did break this one. So even if we saw this going up, it could go up all the way up to here and then just roll over. So just don't be fooled. Okay, but regardless of that, Compound versus ETH not looking the best. Looking a little bit better than Compound versus Bitcoin. I'm not sure why, as Bitcoin looked like it was outperforming Ethereum, but there we are. That's what I can see here on the chart in terms of market structure. It does look like Compound is being outperformed by ETH, but faring much better than Bitcoin, for instance, than the Bitcoin pairing. Basic attention token versus USD. Okay, so I had highlighted the low volume node below and the low volume node above here. Okay, just bear with me a second. Take the magnet off. I just want to make sure that this is very accurate there. Okay, so this is a low volume node, this is a low volume node as well, and you can see that the price here is holding quite well, even though we did travel very quickly through that imbalance, which is again the low volume area here. We found that these levels here around about 88 cents acting as strong support. Okay, we did break below the $1 mark, so 96 cents, $1 has been holding up quite well, and now we broke below it. So again, this is quite possible that we come all the way up here, find the $1 mark, and then just roll over. Okay, we'll have to wait and see. If this happens, then again the signal for a short would be trying to get back above it, and will not get above this low volume area here. Okay, this low volume node is key here. Okay, so again, if we can bounce straight out from here and use it as support, that's fantastic. If we get below it and then cannot get above it, again it confirms it as resistance, then fantastic, we go to the downside. So you'll just have to observe, as we are really in a kind of an inflection point, if you like. All right, so that is basic attention token versus USD. If I was to bet which way it's going to go right now, we did lose an important level of support, but as far as I'm concerned, we're still above this high volume cluster here. Okay, you can see it clearly here. Nice big high volume cluster. So as long as we are above 83 cents, I do think that this has got a chance to rally and carry on doing what it was doing before, which is basically going in between those 2 points. All right. So again, what I would, my invalidation would be if the price comes all the way down here and then finds that this area here is now resistance. Then, of course, you enter a short and you'd come and target these levels down here, as you'd probably see this rotate down here. I hope that makes sense. That was BAT versus USD. Right now, I do think that it's a perfect optimum place to fake to the upside and then just roll over. Okay, lower highs, lower lows. That's what it's been doing. Okay, look, high, low, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, low lows. Yeah, I think all of these coins are going to be going sideways or down as long as the Bitcoin is dumping. So I think I've lost a couple of viewers. I'm probably just rambling on. I will put some timestamps in the video, but I'm going to crack on a little bit quicker. So BAT versus BTC. Basic attention token versus BTC is just going sideways right now. Okay, so we've got a level of resistance here. We've got a level of support. As you can see from this squiggle here, this is essentially where I believe that this coin is going to be rotating for the next few weeks. Okay, at the moment we're still on the way down, so expect something like this to just go down versus BTC. Okay, BTC looks like crap, and that's perhaps the only reason why this hasn't dumped dramatically. As you can see here versus USD, it has dumped dramatically, but because it's versus BTC and that dumped as well, it looks a little bit better, but it's still broken market structure. And like you see here, this is a lower low compared to this one here, right? And then we couldn't rally past the first trouble area, the first high here. So we just rolled over and came to the side. So that's essentially what we're looking for, okay? So BAT versus BTC. BAT is definitely being outperformed by Bitcoin right now, and it'll probably carry on doing so until we get to this largely illiquid area down here at around about 2,000 sats. BAT versus ETH. Very much the same scenario. We've broken the market structure. We're still printing that lower low. We'll have to see what happens there, but this is definitely not the case here. This one's not happening at the moment, so I think we're going to have to wait for lower prices, and around about this level here, 2,900 way, then perhaps here we see the price rotating back up again. But we'll have to wait and see, and see how much strength there is in the market. Okay, it might not even go as high as that, although it could go all the way up to here. It could literally just print a lower high and just carry on doing this. Okay, maybe a few deviations and then just slowly bleed to the downside and so on. Okay, so just bear that in mind. For now anyway, it does look bearish, and it does look like it's going to get outperformed by Ethereum as well. So that is basic attention token versus Ethereum. Let's have a look at Link versus USD. Interesting enough, we've got a little double bottom there. This previous level here is a level of low volume, so I'm going to put that now as orange, because I do think that that is perhaps now a level of resistance. So we'll just have to wait and see. But essentially, we are very close to it. But essentially, if we break below this level here that we've just found a bounce on at 19 cents, then I do think that we come and test this down here, which is very, it's a low volume node. It's very close to the bottom of this range here, and I think it's very likely. Okay, so again, that's $16-17, something like that, and then we would have to see this brown area, orange area that I've just highlighted as the low volume node as resistance for it to roll over and carry on downwards. Okay, of course, if that doesn't happen, and a break in market structure would look something like this, come back, test that as support, and then that means that it's a good entry for a long, and that's where I would expect the price to go and kind of start rotating here back and forth. Okay, so that's what we would like to see on Link versus USD. Again, if you don't have any idea where the price might be heading, I can put a few levels of support here if you like, in context there. And let's have a look at the daily levels there, just to be on the clear side. Again, I'm just using volume edges, so round about there. And previous levels of support, I would say around about there as well. Okay, maybe even here there's a few traders there. So you've got round about $10, which is funnily enough a big round number as well. 13 and 14.94, so let's say $15. Those are all levels of interest for support. And then you've also got this rectangle here, which is a low volume area in context at around about $17. Okay, so at the moment we are at $19. We could just bounce here and carry on up, but this is printing equal lows. I don't like this. I think we've got room to move a little bit lower first. Okay, so that's Link versus USD. I do think that it's going to come down. Link versus BTC, we're very much at the level of support that I thought we would be. We'll just have to wait and see if it holds. If it doesn't hold, then this is the previous low that I also highlighted here. Okay, that mustn't be taken in order for this to be bullish. If the price comes here and gets lower, it means it takes this low here, and even if it goes back up, it will roll over, because that's a break in market structure. Okay, so I don't want to be repeating myself all the time, but that's basically what it is. So we could even just come as close as this and go back up again and just kind of rotate here. Okay, and do something like that, but and go sideways for a while. But there's no doubt that for now, all I can see here on Link is that there is weakness. We're printing lower lows and lower highs here on the daily, on the 4-hour chart. It's the same scenario. We were going sideways, but we've gone lower, and we're just being held as support there. Okay, so again, if we go lower, then this level should hold as support. If we go further lower, this is another level for support here. Okay, so that is 4,250 sats. The level that we're at is 4,888 sats, and then you've also got somewhere between 3,300 sats. Okay, 3,300, 3,800 sats as levels of support, and of course you've got lower levels as well, but we'll get to those another time, as this is getting a little bit too lengthy. Link versus ETH. You can see that with Link is very much, Link versus ETH is exactly the same thing. We are going lower, and as long as we stay above this level here, then I think we've got a very good chance to bounce back up again and put in a higher high. But ideally, what I would have liked to see is this range here being respected here. So I would have liked to see this coin stay within this range here, even if there were deviations to either side. Unfortunately, it didn't, and it's breaking to the downside. So that to me signals weakness, even though we haven't printed that lower low. That's an early sign. Okay, so I think ETH is doing better than Link, and so Link is being outperformed by ETH. Uniswap versus USD. Let's have a quick look at this one. Very last of the stable coins. Uni versus of the DeFi coins, sorry, not the stable coins. So here you can see that the price is still rotating within this same area here. Okay, this is like a balance area. There is a level of resistance that I've highlighted, which is basically essentially where this low volume node is. Okay, we didn't even come back up to test that yet. We've also got another one here. So $16, $19, $22, and $24, also 27. Those are the levels of resistance, and 14, 12, 10, and 8 as levels of support. Okay, these are not just random numbers. I'm not just using big round numbers, although they do work most of the time. But what I'm using here is low volume nodes on the volume profile, and that's basically how I get to my numbers. Okay, so we are still very much at the range low of this high volume cluster, so that is also something to take in consideration. I wouldn't be looking for shorts at the bottom of the range unless there's a definite sign of weakness, and that to me would look like something like this: print a lower low, and even if we come all the way up here, that would be a signal for me to enter short and we go lower. Okay, the bullish case scenario is that we go back up here again, we break above this level of resistance, confirm it as support, and then either start hovering here or break above that, which is the point of control. Okay, so essentially we want to see either buyers stepping in and chasing the bid, or we want to see sellers coming in and pushing the price much lower so that people still sit on the bid, absorbing and selling, basically looking for buyers. Okay, so that's Uni versus USD. I do think that we are at the bottom of the range. We could be going up first. If we do go down, you know what to look for. If we go up, then this is what you look for as well. But I do think it's going to go up first, as we have just, it's looking weak here, but it's the bottom of the range. Okay, you don't sell at the bottom. So Uni versus BTC. I know this is getting a little bit complex, but Uni versus BTC, very interesting. So price printed higher highs and higher lows, and now we've just been going sideways. Not much resolution in that, but at least, you know, it's honest work. Okay, yes, we've printed a few lower lows here and a lower high, but it's not, you know, it's not nothing dramatic, not a massive rejection. So this is very difficult to say what's going to happen here. At this stage with Uni versus BTC, I would just be playing this range. Okay, so I would be buying at 3,600 sats, and I'd be selling at around about 4,300, 4,250 sats. Okay, and just betting on the price doing something like this all the time. Okay, so entering at the highs for shorts, entering at the lows for longs, and then basically just taking this very small range as a trading range. That's what I'm seeing right now. So Uni versus Bitcoin, I think maybe just going sideways, although there is early signs here with the lower lows and the lower highs that we could be rolling over and going sideways. So this is one to keep an eye on for sure. Uni versus ETH. Again, I'm not sure why, because Ethereum does look like it's being outperformed and battered by Bitcoin. However, when I look at these charts, it does look more bullish on Ethereum with these tokens versus Ethereum than it does. Oh, that makes perfect sense actually, because Ethereum looks so crap. These are going to look more bullish. I do apologize for that, it's a bit early in the morning. So anyway, higher high, higher low, higher highs again, and higher lows. Okay, we haven't printed a lower low yet. So essentially, we want to stay above this last one here and above this one here. Okay, of course, if the price comes all the way down here, even if it comes back up again, it does the same story. This is your entry for a short, and we're going to go lower. All right, if of course it doesn't, and if it just keeps doing like this, then hey, just take advantage of the waves. Okay, so sell up here, buy down here, sell up here, buy down here. That's essentially how you do it. Okay, so again, Uni versus ETH is looking a little bit better than Uni versus Bitcoin. So I do think that Uni has a strong chance of outperforming Ethereum here. So yeah, that's essentially it. I hope you guys have a nice weekend. I hope this was useful for you. I can have another very quick look here at Bitcoin and just see what's going on, just on the smaller time frames, just to see if there's any clues of where we might be heading. But nah, it's just a little yeah, it's just a little bit of sideways price action now. I think everybody's going to be expecting a big move coming, but actually what happens is after a big move like this, we just go sideways for a while until everybody stops looking and stops paying attention. I doubt very much that we're going to see much volatility today, but tomorrow it is the weekend. Okay, so we've got Saturday and Sunday. Less liquidity in the books means more volatility, so it is quite possible that we see a little scamp up to 41k, and we'll just have to wait and see what the price does up there. So anyway, in the meantime, you've already got all the levels up and the levels down. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave me a like and let me you're very welcome, Vandal. You're very welcome for the update. Leave me a message in the Discord group. If you're not in the Discord group, please join. There's a link in the description. But I hope you guys have a nice weekend. If you're not trading, I hope you have a nice time. If you are trading, trade smart and just be mindful that it is the weekend and there's going to be less liquidity in the books. So very volatile. Okay, guys, take care. I'm going to do the timestamps now so that it's easier to access, and I'll speak to you guys on Monday. Cheers.